Now, someone who knows a heck of a lot about this, because I've spoken to him on a little sort of sidebar about such things, is the brilliant Raja Maya. He joins us now. Raja, great to have you on the programme. Now, this is not exactly news for you, is it? Because you know that this stuff has been going on, particularly, one might suggest, in what have historically been Labour-dominated areas with a particularly high Muslim vote.
Absolutely, Alex. This is a common practice. Electoral fraud is common practice, sadly, in Labour Party constituencies, Labour Party wards with a high Muslim demographic, specifically a high Pakistani demographic, with the underpinned by the brotherly system. What you're seeing here, Alex, essentially, not just in Tameside, but across the country, is a Pakistani civil war. And it's a civil war that has arisen as a consequence of two factors, really. One is the fallout from Gaza and the Labour Party, the Muslim split over the Labour Party position on Gaza, and Keir Starmer's refusal initially to call it a genocide or whatever happened after, is it October the 7th and stuff. And the one faction saw it as an opportunity to pounce, and pounce they have. They've now got sectarian MPs in Parliament, and they've got a wave of councillors elected across the country. Some are independents and some have aligned themselves with the Green Party. Now, what's took place here in Tameside is the country is now seeing tactics that have been deployed for a long time by the Labour Party, but unfortunately no one has spoken out against it, because it was the Pakistanis within the Labour Party deploying tactics that benefited the Labour Party, so there was no need for anyone in the establishment to speak out. And people like you or I who would speak out would be generously perhaps said, unhappy losers, sore losers, or we would be racist. Now, what happened in St. Peter's Ward, which is a predominantly Muslim sort of area, is that in Angela Rayner's kitchen, a plan appears to have been cooked up. And that plan was to front two imaginary or false opposition candidates with a view of, one was white, a woman called Marie Fairhurst, and the idea behind that was that it would take votes away from reform. And then another one was this Muhammad Ali. No one's gone and found who this Muhammad Ali is. It's the equivalent of John Smith as a candidate on in an English area. And that was to take Muslim votes away from the independent candidate.
So it's a suggestion these people didn't even exist.
No, Muhammad Ali, from what I can work out, no one's gone and found them. They found Marie Fairhurst. She has no idea what's gone on. We talk about postal vote fraud and how postal votes are intercepted. Well, now this is one step beyond that.
Right.
This is fronting candidates fraudulently.
That's crazy. I mean, postal vote fraud is something I've been well aware of for about 20 years. Now we've got, it's always, things are always named in a nicey way. Family voting, as if it's like a little day out at the park. Now we've got, fake candidates. Talk to us about, especially, let's go back to postal vote, because that seems to be, in my mind, the one that has sort of garnered the most success over the years. How does it actually work? What are the mechanics of all of this? How are they, as a community, coming together and dominating the political space so much?
You can clearly see by the candidates that come forward, they are clan leaders. They are clan leaders who come forward, bravery clan leaders. And the clan system facilitates, it's counter-democratic, it's counter what we know as democracy. Clan leaders, family leaders collect votes and then hand them in. Sometimes they're not even, there's no X marked on it. They just hand them in and then they're bartered between clans. All you have to do is sign the document. You saw Sabana Mahmood is now in trouble. And again, that's a story that's not making the airwaves it should do.
Oh, the two different handwritings.
Yeah. So all of that is been endemic in our country with the Mirpuri community, with the Pakistani Mirpuri community specifically. And the chickens are now coming home to roost, because the Labour Party no longer are the only ones that benefit from it. And those who oppose it, who are opposing the Labour Party, are deploying the same tactics. And they're saying, well, you've done this. No, you've done this. They're both at it, Alex. Both factions are now at it. And our democracy has been corrupted, has been comprehensively corrupted by these people.
Now, of course, there was an investigation into allegations made against Shabana Mahmood, and that investigation said that there was no wrongdoing. But let's talk about whether you believe, Raja, that political parties know full well that this stuff is going on. In fact, are they involved in it directly, do you think?
100%. I'll quantify this. I always try and quantify everything, Alex. And the Shabana Mahmood story is a Shabana Mahmood story. Only she knows why her signatures don't match. You know, those are the facts. The signatures didn't match. For me, what happens is there are 3 layers before a candidate's name goes on the ballot paper. The first one, if you're in a political party, is that the branch has got to nominate you. There are plenty of instances across this country documented where branches have been suspended by the Labour Party because they risked the approved Biradari candidate from winning. So the approved Biradari candidate might have lost to this other faction, so the Labour Party shut it down and prevented democracy from taking place. Those are matter of fact, Alex. I don't need to make any of this up. The second factor, pre the nomination, that I've seen frequently, first-hand witness myself, is that if someone came forward and said, I am going to stand, a visit would take place to their home late at night by a group of men. And then the following day, that person will issue a statement or even release a video saying, oh, on reflection, it's best if I do not stand. In my own town, candidates who have stood have had their houses arson attacked. You know, reports in the local press, arson attack to the houses, the cars blown up to intimidate them from standing. And now what you've got is a new front. Let's create imaginary candidates.
This stuff is utterly deplorable. Democracy should be sacrosanct in this country. And as somebody who has worked both as a journalist and in elections abroad, I know full well some of the dirty practices that take place in the developing world, particularly countries such as Pakistan. I don't think there's been an honest election since the country became a democracy, quite frankly. But we've imported all of this. And it seems to me there's a concerted effort because let's suggest both legacy parties, I don't know, certainly Labour, although I have heard from other people that the Conservatives in areas which are fewer than Labour Party.
Oh, they've dabbled in it. They have definitely dabbled in it, yes.
That's what I've heard. That because they've profited from this in their own constituencies, that frankly the other one wouldn't necessarily win in any way, then it's sort of a bit like a sort of deal, well, let's not talk about it. We're both gaining from it, so, you know, let's just sweep that under the carpet. But if it turns out to be true, and it's important to say that the Labour Party has said no evidence is being presented of any Labour Party involvement in these allegations, and we categorically reject any suggestion that the party was involved. You know, if the police investigation does show that this was cooked up in Rayner's kitchen and she happened to be present at the time, I think this is incredibly serious. I think this is an incredibly grave allegation. You can bet your bottom dollar if the accusation was that Nigel Farage had been sort of inviting over, you know, whoever it may be, to sit in his kitchen and discuss how to rig an election to enable reform to win at local level, it'd be absolutely pilloried for it. And rightly so, but there seems to be a bit of a deafening silence, tumbleweed blowing across the TV screens in front of me right now. I haven't seen. Because
it's disgraceful. What's took place is disgraceful because the independent witness, the whistleblower, he's named himself. He's gone on record, isn't he? He's got nothing to lose here. It's the former deputy chair or something of the local branch of the Labour Party whilst he was in the Labour Party. This idea was concocted in a kitchen, and the facts follow through, Alex. Now, the police can investigate, and I have no trust in Andy Burnham's Greater Manchester Police at all when it comes to Labour Party candidates. Now, but it's the facts follow through. Marie Fairhurst did not sign her name on any document that put her forward as a candidate. Muhammad Ali, no one can find them.
Is she connected to the Labour Party, or did they just go through yellow pages and pick her at random?
Oh, I think, from what I can work out, she has some mental health issues or something. They're just going to found someone. It's disgraceful. These people, but they've done it in such a way, Alex, and your viewers need to understand this. They've done it in such a way where they've always got away with doing what they've done. So this outrageous action has not come from nowhere. It's come from decades of, well, we can do whatever we want, and we've got away with it.
Well, the chickens are coming home to roost now, aren't they? Like you said, with the emergence of sectarian politics, all these, you know, imams, community leaders, clan leaders who have been allowed to rig our system for so long are suddenly going, great, we're going to rig it, but it ain't going to be in your favour, Labour. And that is terrifying to me, absolutely terrifying.
And you should be terrified. And our electoral system needs reform. Your party, the Reform Party, the name reform comes from the old Great Reform Act, and the old Great Reform Act was to stop widespread electoral fraud, the rotten boroughs, all of that. And 150 years later, we're in the same place. But what we've got is a group of people who've brought practices into our country that is completely alien to our systems and norms. And therefore, our systems and processes are unable to counter it. The family voting nonsense was going on in St. Peter's just as well. And this is men accompanying women to make sure that they put the cross where they're meant to. It's unacceptable, Alex.
Oh, what you're talking about is family voting. Sounds really cuddly and nice. A day, to go out and enjoy democracy together. Do you know, it's funny, I've seen video footage of councillors in certain areas, going door to door, and instead of wearing a Labour Party rosette, they're literally wearing PPK rosettes saying, we're your candidate from, the PPK in Pakistan. You just think, what? Mad.
And again, the international endorsement of candidates is normal in these communities, and the securing of ballot papers from Pakistan in a council estate somewhere in the United Kingdom, in one of these areas, that is also normal. The internationalization, the corruption. We are not set out to respond to this. Our systems, our processes, our legal system, and it needs reform, Alex. And we need to be honest. We need to be honest with ourselves and say these people are exploiting our democracy. They're undermining our democratic values. And it's like you said, these tactics worked elsewhere. Yeah. And they will work here and continue to work here because the mainstream media, the mainstream voices dare not speak out against it because it's a can of worms. Yeah. Because this is not a one-off incident, Alex.
This is the problem
all the time in these communities.
This is the problem, isn't it? That the fact that because they've sort of profited from it, if, as it gets really bad in places like Birmingham and beyond, it's going to be very difficult for them to turn around and go, what? That's electoral fraud, because they'll turn around and go, yeah, you know a thing or two about that, don't you?
Yeah, you've been doing it for decades, haven't you? You know a thing, yeah.
David in the Cotswolds says, seriously, when you have clan systems going on within cultures where the grooming of young, vulnerable white girls is considered normal, then what is a little bit of electoral fraud? And I know that you have campaigned on this for a long time.
Yeah, it's all interconnected. And I've campaigned, Alex, from the outset. I've campaigned we need reform in our electoral system. We need to ban postal voting. This is a product of Tony Blair. He introduced this postal vote system. A judge has confirmed it's been undermined. There were some minor adjustments done to it as a consequence of Eric Pickles' report. But those minor adjustments made no difference. I could go to an election in the next by-election, and I could go and collect 1,000 postal votes and sell them to whoever I wanted to, if I was of that way.
It's shocking. Minded. We just need to get rid of it unless in expressly limited circumstances. Yeah. This has got to be abolished. Now, before you go, I just want to read this. Raja deserves a knighthood, not the abuse he gets. I've been following him for a while. I subscribe to The Red Wall and the Rabble. He has done more for justice for the rape gang victims than anyone, and has explained how the Pakistani gangs and clans work properly. If he can't, who can? I agree. If if people out there aren't following Raja, do it now. The man is a trailblazer. He's one of the bravest men I've ever met. We're honoured to have him. He's just utterly fantastic. He's courageous. He does his research. He knows his stuff. And as you can imagine, the things that he is exposing puts his life in danger.